What's up, everybody? Sitting there watching these birds take my figs. And those mockingbirds up there. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to come up with some type of netting system for the figs because the figs are just now starting to ripen and the birds are having a field day. Happy August. Happy August. Happy August. Look at them. They just come over here to the fig tree. Probably gonna come flying out of it. Let's see here. Yeah, they've been tearing these figs up. See that right there? Yeah, but I guess it is what it is. I ain't gonna trip on it too much. So let's see here. What's going on, everybody? Y'all know how we do. What's up, how gal? My guy already at it. What's going on, OCD is chick? Cassandra Brown. Let's see who else in there. Mahava. Let's see. Drusilla. Broke Farmer. What's happening? Let's see here. Get this thing straight. Man, it has been humid and hot. And I know y'all can't read my shirt here. Let me set this thing down. Man, I didn't realize it would take so much to really set up to try to do a live and do a fish fertilizer video. Now I know why I like doing, scripted videos. Because doing this thing live, man, I didn't realize just how much it takes to put that whole thing together because I usually do it in parts. So I do record one part and then a couple of days later I come back and record another part. But trying to do it all live, yeah, I got my little machete here for the fish that we're gonna be chopping up. Probably gonna be smelling like it. Hey, the banana is dropping her fruit, but that's all good because I understand exactly why she's dropping them. Let's just see what's happening here. Just give you a little update on it real quick. You can see all the banana hands or banana fingers down there on the ground. She is aborting too many pups in this thing. Yeah, too many pups in there, which I was afraid of that anyway. And you can see there, she's got a few hanging on there, but they're gonna go away. You can see where they're starting to wither off right there. So that's the first thing though, because we got her to put off a rack, so that's a good thing. Now we just got to figure out how to get her to keep it. And I think part of that is just not having four pups. That's one pup, two pup, three pups, four pups in one pot, one little container. This one has two pups in it. So we already got our container as we were doing last time, and then the signal started acting up, or at least I thought the signal was acting up. But right here is going to be our 20-gallon pot. We got some lava rocks, so we're going to upgrade this one. We're going to go ahead and take out our banana plant, our mother plant, because once she fruits, she's not going to fruit again. We're going to leave about 18 inches of her on there so those carbohydrates can filter back down into the corm. And we're going to leave the tallest, and I think this one right here. We're going to leave this one in the pot to feed off the corm, and we're going to remove the other three and put them in separate pots. So all of those are going to go in separate homes with 20-gallon containers. I got several of these 20-gallon containers. We're going to be separating those as well. And next year, we're going to be thinking about how to approach coming out of spring. So that's just one thing that's going on. The other thing that we had going on was the squash cage. Yep. And I'm gonna be sitting down and we're gonna be working out how to go in and assess what the soil is. We're gonna go through a whole systems check on what we're gonna do, and we're gonna be planting some peas in our control soil, and that's gonna help us determine what exactly is going on with that, with the soil in there. Again, the candy roaster is still doing well. She is thriving up there, but the yellow squash is now starting to wilt. Godzilla is done. She's done. So you're looking at the chlorosis on it. It's a telltale sign of probably some uh, herbicides. Yeah, it's herbicides. I tested the pH on the soil, so it's not the lime. A lot of cattle ranchers or horse ranchers put lime out to keep that smell down, so I was suspecting maybe the lime was a part of the issue, but it is not. So just give you guys a little roundabout. You know how we do. Just kind of like to give you a little walk around of what's going on in the garden. Everybody else is laying down saying it's too hot to garden. We still jumping over here. Peanuts, everything's still growing. I mean, growing crazy. Cherry tomatoes, that's what you want to have when you start talking about that heat, because those big tomatoes are not going to survive in this heat. Go down to some cherry tomatoes. And these are my black cherries here. Yep. Peppers, still going, creating microclimates. Peppers are still going. Beautiful green foliage. Yep. But you see I got my little table set up here. We're gonna be doing a little bit of playing around over here. And I bought my lights out as well, so even if we have to go past it, just wanna kind of give you guys a scan of the garden, let you see everything is still thriving around here. This is my blackberry bed here. Blackberries and raspberries, as a matter of fact. You can see now the raspberries are starting to come in, and that's by design. So have one, I have one blackberry here, 3 feet away, another blackberry, 3 feet away, another blackberry. I would suggest if you're going to be planting blackberries that you put a little distance between them because they do grow. And going back to what we were talking about, let me throw this thing down real quick. Going back to what we were talking about when we tip these, you see where we got the tip off of this thing? And you can see the side shoots are starting to shoot out now. This is what's going to happen. Well, there's a second part to when we pruning, and that's going to be our winter pruning. This was our summer pruning where we tip. We tip at the 4 to 5 foot stage, and then as those laterals start to grow out, then wintertime we'll come back and we'll do an 18-inch prune on the laterals. The first summer prune is to get your amount of berries up. The winter prune, that's to get the size of the berries. So it's a two-part pruning system, and it's been proven every single time. So again, and you can see just from the last time we were here, let's see if we can get close to that. You can see where that tip is right here, where we took that tip off. And look how much those laterals have grown since we took the tip off. These are primocanes. Everything in this bed at this point is primocane. Everything in this bed after winter will come back as a floricane. That's the simplest way to put it when you're talking about blackberries. I got the question so many times, and this has probably been one of the most, and I was going to do a whole video on this. The question is, do you prune raspberries the same way that you prune blackberries? Yes and no. The yes would be if you have a black raspberry or you have a purple raspberry. It would be pruned the exact same way that we do our blackberries. But if you have something like the Ann, which I have here, the Ann's going to grow her fruit on the tips. You see all that fruit on the tips there? So no, you do not prune your red raspberries and your yellow raspberries. You don't prune those. You take them out. Once they fruit, take them all the way down to the soil. They'll start over the following year. That's how simple it is. I really didn't realize just how many people were confused about how to prune blackberries and raspberries. That's why I've never really even talked about it, because it's so simple. But I guess if you don't know, you don't know. So any questions that any of you guys have about pruning the blackberries or the raspberries, because I got raspberries on the undercarriage here, and then the blackberries kind of drape over them. As the blackberries go out for the season, the raspberries come in, and the raspberries take up the undercarriage on there. So keeps everything cycling all season long. So we're gonna go over here. You can see I got my Ninja blender out here. I got my scale. I got my turbinado sugar. I got my lactic acid bacteria. I got some rice. Yeah, we're gonna be cooking up some stuff. I got the rice because I'm gonna show you guys how to start the whole process on creating your fish fertilizer, or your fish hydrolysate, as we would call it. So let's just go over here and sit down for a quick sec, and then we'll set the camera up, and then I'll pull out some of the parts that we're gonna be working with. I got plenty of fish, and I wanted to title this particular video, Teach a Man How to Fish. I know this is probably in reverse right now because it's not in mirror mode, but y'all see what it is. You be doing too much. All right, let's see here. Let me see if I can set this camera up to where I can move around a little bit. All right. So what we have in here, yeah, stinky fish. Stinky fish. But when we finish, there will not be any smell to that. It'll smell like a rosy wine type ferment. And that's the same thing that I do with my super juice. My super juice does not smell. My super juice has a nice rosy wine smell to it. Some things that you're gonna need: distilled water. You only can use distilled water. It's gonna be the best thing you're gonna do. Some rice. This is the beginning. The distilled water and rice, because you wanna make a rice wash. And what that rice wash does is, we're gonna put it in a bowl here, but we're basically gonna look like some milk when we finish with our rice wash. So we're gonna go to the chat for a little bit, see who's in the chat, and then we'll go back to what we're talking about out here. So I see GT Junior Grows It Alaska is in here. Mike's Chaotic Gardening, Jigs, what's going on? Let's see who else is in here. Broke Farmer, thank you for coming in, my brother. Pink Hibiscus, let's see here. All right, let's see here. Naham, love your videos, brother. I hope I'm saying that right. Nahum, Nahum, Nahum. So I didn't see my FPJ. Mike say he didn't see his FPJ. You know, the FPJ stay undercover. She has to be dark. This is our, and I was gonna harvest this while we were here. This is our Mexican sunflower FPJ. This is the tips. This is different from the leaves. Somebody was asking me, this is our FPJ. I don't know if you can see that liquid down there at the bottom. You see how dark that is going around the bottom? Once we take our cheesecloth and squeeze this out, that's gonna drip all of those liquids back in. And this is our hormone blend for our FPJ. Now you also have a FLJ, a fermented leaf juice. And that was something that I got lots of questions on when I was showing the FPJ. FLJ is different. FLJ is a different part of the plant. So a few people was asking me like, so why aren't you harvesting the large leaves? Because they use the large leaves to do chop and drops. And I'm saying the large leaves bring in a different nutrient and a nutrient input into your FPJ. The tips are going to be like, I like to use the example of a kid growing when they're going through puberty. They have the acne, all of these hormones going on. So you got auxins, gibberellins, and cytokinins. Those are all the growth hormones happening in the tips. That's what this is. That's what this FPJ, fermented plant juice, that's what this is. These are all the tips from my Mexican sunflower. Now, if I were to use the leaves, which are lower down, that's going to be more for a nutrient, FLJ, which is a fermented leaf juice. There's a slight difference. They're the same, but there's a slight difference. Again, the FPJ, which is from the tips, is hormones. That's a biological stimulant. That's the difference between the lower leaves. The lower leaves, as we get to be adults, it's so cool to where, you know, the analogies kind of lock in together because as we grow into adults, we stop growing. A lot of our nutrients, a lot of uh, our health, so to speak, starts to dwindle. Same thing happens with the plant. So as it's growing in spring, all of those nutrients, all the hormones are going to the tips. Again, auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, all of those things are what makes that thing grow, gives it that apical dominance. That's that tall one that gets to the top and it dominates. That's why we take the tips from the plant because we're getting the dominant genes, the dominant hormones to go into our FPJ. So when we spray that on our plants, that biological hormone is taken up through the stomata on the plant. It's not a fertilizer at that point. Does it have some fertilizer in it? Yes, but it's more of a biological stimulant is what this is. Now I'm going to be harvesting the FLJs, which are the lower leaves, and we're going to make a FLJ, a fermented leaf juice. That's going to be more for extracting the dominant nutrients out of it, which will be like for the Mexican sunflower would be the potassium. That's going to be the powerhouse of the Mexican sunflower, potassium, and of all of our what we call dynamic accumulators, the Mexican sunflower probably mines the best in terms of phosphorus. So that's another thing that we want with the Mexican sunflower. It's a good miner of phosphorus. When we start taking those lower leaves, that is the nutrient profile that we're going to be focused on. The nitrogen, the potassium, and as well as that small little bit of phosphorus that's in there. But that zero point 0.5, it's different from what you would say in a synthetic. It's different even from our bag organic fertilizers because, again, these are things that when we add our fulvic acid to it, it chelates, and that means to grab on. It goes down to the soil, and it basically breaks the bond, negative charges that the nutrients in the soil hold on to the soil. It breaks that bond and allows the fulvic acid to take that over to the plant, and the plant's able to uptake that real easy. But that's pretty much that in a nutshell. So some big hitters in here. How gal? Yo, G Mama Grows. What's going on, G Mama? Angela Calloway. What's going on? Let's see. Can I here read the chat a little bit? Uh, yeah. Y'all tap me over there now. Y'all know how to do this thing. We've been doing this long enough. Y'all tap it over there. I know the last live got kind of crazy. I was thinking that I had the ring of death, but as I go back in and I'm watching the replay, that was my tablet that was doing that. Why nobody told me that I was still alive and that there was no problem? Come on now. Y'all got to help a brother out. I'm watching myself not just on my camera screen, but I'm also watching the playback, which is what you guys have. So there's a slight delay. But what was happening was my iPad that I monitor on and that I read off of was glitching, not the camera. Hey, it happens. It happens. So Hagao says his fingers are tired. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah, Mike. Man, I really was pissed off to tell you the truth. I'm not even gonna lie. I was really pissed off because we were having issues with our cable anyway. We got Xfinity, which is supposed to be the best cable provider in the area, the strongest bandwidth. Well, we've been having issues out of it for the past month or so. And I've been asking both my wife and my son to take care of that because I don't have time to be sitting on the phone 30 minutes to an hour just to have somebody tell me to go in there and reset the router and all of that stuff. So these are things that someone else should have been taken care of. And I think I kind of blocked out the whole maybe it's something else. And my mind was on that whole, like somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do. And that's the reason why the live is not going well. So my apologies to you guys. And like I say, we're here right now. We let me see who can tell me what this is. And we're talking about fish fertilizer, so who can tell me what this is? Look down in the chat. Let's see here. Joan McNair. She says, "Hi, growing out the box. I'm glad when you're doing too much." Okay, I'm taking notes. Okay, I got every color, and y'all know how I do old school. I got to have the whole nine. Don't make me pull the shoes up too. But anybody could tell me what this is? Mike's Chaotic Garden says Epsom. G Mama. G Mama, you got the cheat codes over there. I already know you know. Yeah. How Gal says fish hydrolysate. GT Junior in Alaska says matching belt. He said a matching belt. No, I don't do the matching belt because I always wear my t-shirt kind of draped over my pants. But as you all know, I'm gonna have the hat, the shirt, and the shoes. That's just how I get down. I've been doing that, you know, I mean, for years and years. I'd be an old dude, gray and bald and all that other stuff, and I'm still be rocking. That's just how I do. If the hat don't match the shirt, they don't go. I don't do Adidas with Nikes. That's just not what I do. It's just a thing that I do, man. Maybe that's my OCD-ish. So let's see. Joan McNair. Okay. Joan McNair. She hit it. G Mama hit it. Uh, Nick's, Nick said lemonade. Did I say somebody speaking to cash flow? Let's see here. G Mama speaking to cash flow. What's going on, cash flow? I don't. Okay, I see you now. Look at. Oh, cash flow said rice water. Okay. No, not rice water. But you have to have rice water to make this. So you're close. You're close. Just you see the color in that? This is lactic acid serum. Lactic acid serum. Now, this is the thing that when people were asking me about spraying liquid whey and lactic acid serum, these are these are different. They're the same, but they're different. With the lactic acid bacteria, you have, I want to say, over 246 different strains of lactic acid bacteria. This is a dominant strain that's created from rice wash. So we're getting our what do you call our indigenous microorganisms, our indigenous yeast, And that is what creates this, the indigenous yeast. With the other one, we let it sit out on the countertop. We take milk from the refrigerator, let it sit out at room temperature, 75 to 85. And what that does is when that milk warms up, it wakes up the dominant strains of the lactic acid bacteria that are left over from pasteurization. So you're getting the very strong strains that are left over. That's why I can spray that 50-50 on my plants and it's not going to do the same thing. If I were to spray this 50-50 on my plants, it'll probably burn them. It'll probably wilt them because this is a different strain of lactic acid bacteria. Now, we this may take us a couple of videos, and if y'all want to do this in series, we can do that because I really want you to. It's so simple to do, but there's quite a few steps to it. I mean, it's really simple. Again, you have to have distilled water. So that's the first thing. Miss J.K. Gardner, she said, hey, what's going on growing out the box? Cash flow speaking. John says hello. He just came in. Let's see. XX Montoya. XX Montoya says, hey, I really want to say I really appreciate the knowledge you're sharing. I watch you often and always learn things. I would like to consider myself an experienced gardener. Uh, you the bomb. Thank you, thank you. Uh, I can't do this without you guys, you know, and I like using that word symbiotic, you know, symbiotic relationship. That's where two things come together and they benefit from the other. Most of the stuff that I learn is basically from the questions that you guys ask. So when you ask me to do certain, you know, ask me about certain things that I'm probably not familiar with, I'll go and research it. And from that research is, you know, I'll go and discover some other things. And that's generally what I make my videos about. Not necessarily the question that you ask, but those things, those hidden jewels that I discover in looking for the questions that you ask. So it's like even with the blackberries, for example, the 5-leaf pedestal compared to the 4-leaf pedestal. Nobody ever said that. Nobody's ever talked about that. I mean, I've watched many of pruning videos with blackberries, and somebody asked me about pruning blackberries, and as I started doing the research, that was the light bulb that went off. When I found that 5-leaf on the primocanes and the 4-leaf on the floricanes, oh, it just made it all click for me, and it just made pruning so much simpler. So when I did the video, that same light bulb went off in you guys. So it's again that symbiotic relationship. This would not be possible without you guys. Even, you know, you ask me like, how do I know all these things? I don't know all these things. What I do is when you ask me questions, I go research them. And if I'm not growing it, if it's something that I'm interested in growing, I'll just come out here and start growing it. That way I have firsthand accounts on how it works, even after the textbook version of it. So, rice wash. This is how we start our fish fertilizer. So, we're going to do something as simple as maybe I need to move my camera up a little further. Let's see here. David says, just stumbled across your channel recently and I'm finding it very interesting and informative. I picked up some solid gardening tips from your channel. Thanks. I appreciate that, David. Yes, sir. Like I said, we're all in this together, man. You know, I can't take full credit for everything that's going on here because I feed off of the energy that you guys give me. So, what we're going to do now, and yes, I stole this out the house. So, if my wife is watching, I took it. How about that? So, but this is all we're doing. We're going to put us about a cup of rice in there. Now, for those who don't wash their rice, this is what you have right here. Rice wash And basically what this is this becomes food for your microbes in your air. All the microbes that are floating around, the what they call indigenous microorganisms, the wild yeast. We breathe it every day. These bacteria, microbes, yeast. These are things that we breathe every day. Um, I think I had a cup out here that shows, because I was trying to show everything. Let me see here. I know I got my cup out here. Okay, let me walk over here. Did I leave it on the grass? Okay, what did I do with my cup? Now, I'm probably looking right at it. There's a cup. I was trying to show you guys what the rice wash would look like after it sits for about 7 days. And I got it out here, right there. There go my wife in to rescue me. Right there. Look on the banister. Bay, look on right there. Yes. Yes. So I done brought it out here and took it all the way back to the deck. My wife be rescuing me, man. Hey, it is what it is. You know, like I said, there's so many moving parts. It's not difficult to make, but there are a lot of moving parts, and all of these things kind of come together. If most of us use fish fertilizer 511, this I have no hesitation in saying this is far superior than fish fertilizer. And you think about fish fertilizer now. Last time I was at the big box store. Thank you, babe. Yeah. This is basically this is what the rice wash is. After we put it in this bowl, let me go through a phase of it first, so we'll kind of be up to speed on what we're doing. This is what it looks like. You see, I got my little garbanzo bag on the top. It's in a mason jar, and at the top you have a breathable lid. You want it to be breathable because you want those wild yeast and microbes to colonize that rice wash. Now, we're gonna see if I can. You're gonna have a little coating on the top of that, and that coating is calm yeast. This is what your rice wash will look like after it sits for a couple of days. Now I can't tip this up, but you can see that little ring around the top. Look like some uh, yeast, I guess. Some people may call it mold, but no, that's what they call a calm yeast, perfectly harmless. That's what's in the air floating around. This is what we breathe. These are things that we breathe when we're out here. This is what's on the tips of these plants when we taking our FPJs. All of these things are settled in on the plants early in the morning in that morning dew. And this is why we want to come out early in the morning to harvest our FPJs, because the morning dew houses that moisture, and the moisture is where the bacteria, the fungi, and the indigenous microorganisms like the land. So this is our rice water. So this is how we start. This is our rice water after it's set for about a week. This is our rice water. So now, after this sits for about a week, this becomes our culture that we add to our milk. So we'll take 6 tablespoons of our rice wash, and we'll add it to, I think it's quart, a quart of milk. 6 tablespoons is all it needs. 6 tablespoons of this to inoculate a quart of milk. Pasteurized is what I use. I don't know about 2% and all that other whole. I don't know about all of that stuff there, because I get the pasteurized vitamin D milk. Let's keep it simple. We ain't finna go into that. Can I use powdered milk? I don't know. Can I use 2%? I don't know. What I use is vitamin D pasteurized milk. Simple as put. 6 tablespoons of this rice wash goes into that. And what'll happen is in 4 to 5 days, your curds would separate from your whey. So this is what we're talking about again. And this smells sour right now. Not putrid. It smells sour. That's the wild yeast that have colonized this. They're feeding off of the rice wash, the carbohydrates in that rice wash. So I'm gonna put this back on because I don't want any insects getting in it and contaminating that. So we don't mind the yeast in our wild microorganisms, our indigenous microorganisms getting into it, but we don't want insects in it. So we're gonna put our cap back on it. So this is what it looks like, our rice wash after sitting for 5 to 7 days. So I'm gonna come down to the chat and we're gonna read some of the chat. Now, after 5 to 7 days, there's a different process. Now I don't have, and I wish I would have had the milk separated so you can really see it, because you'll see, like, let's say for example, this particular thing right here. The top half of this would have been filled with the solids. That's where the milk's gonna separate. And this golden or amber or lemonade looking yellowish, I don't know what color you wanna call it, greenish, yellow, lemonade-y, this will settle to the bottom. The curds will be on the top. You take your spoon, scoop off as much as you can, and then you take a cheesecloth and you filter the rest of it. You want to filter this a couple of times. And that's what you end up with after you do that process. I wish I had the milk that had already coagulated, but I don't. So this is what happens after that. This is the lactic acid serum. I don't even call this it's a lactic acid bacteria, but I call it a lactic acid serum. That's pretty much what it is. And when you start talking about the liquid whey that we use from sitting the milk out on the countertop, I just call that whey. So those are the distinctions that I use for those two things. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna mix up our water. Let me sit this back here a little bit so we can get it on our table. And you guys can see me as I mix this. Yep, there we go. All right. So we're just gonna take our water, distilled water. I'm gonna say it again. Just pouring it in the rice. It just looks like water and rice right now. That's all. Same water that you put into when you put on the stove. Same rice. No, nothing really different. And then what we're gonna do, we're just gonna massage it. And what I like to do, and what makes it so simple for me, is we want to get this to a milk consistency. We're just going to keep massaging this until when we put our fingers in it. Let me see if I can get the camera where you can see when it's not as opaque. You see here, you can still see my fingers in the liquid. I can't tilt it up, but it'd be good if I had somebody out here to hold the camera. But you can still see my fingers. The consistency that I look for in my rice wash is when I can put my finger down into the water and I no longer see my fingers. That's when I know I got a good consistency. I got a lot of those starches that's needed to feed those microbes. So we just massage it. That's it. You're gonna be doing this for probably about 10, 15 minutes, just massaging it. And as you massage it, it's gonna get darker and darker, more opaque. And that's what we want. That's the first phase of what we have to do to get to this. This is phase number 2. This is what this rice wash is after sitting for, let's say, 5 to 7 days. This is what it becomes after 5 to 7 days. And again, when you add those 6 tablespoons to our quart, it separates and what they call coagulates. The solids go to the top. This amber or golden lemonade looking liquid, which is whey, lactic acid bacteria, it settles to the bottom. So now you have to just separate those two. That's the one thing that I don't have out here today. And if I were doing a video, then those are things that I would have made sure that I had in the video. So we just keep doing this. And you see just how in that little time right there, look how opaque that's getting. You see how that looks like 2% milk now. But once we keep doing this, we're gonna do this again, 15, 20 minutes. We just wanna keep massaging. And I would have it in, of course I'm trying to do it for you guys where I'm kind of moving slow with it. But I would normally put this in a wider bowl and to have both hands in it, just kind of slushing it around. Because the more you move it around, the more of those starches are gonna come off into the water. Distilled water. Do not use regular tap water on this. You will not get the cultures that you're looking for in your fish hydrolysate. And that's what this is called, fish hydrolysis. This will not drop that pH if you use tap water. That tap water will destroy your culture that you're trying to create here. Everything that we're doing, and it's crazy because I literally have been watering my garden this year with watering containers. I've been having to water less because my microbes are working in overtime because I'm not using tap water on my garden. So even with the heat that we've been having, yes, we've been getting some rain of late, but even with that heat that we've been having, the less that you water with your tap water, the more dominant the bacteria, fungi, just the microbes in your soil is going to become. As they become more dominant, that means they're going to have, what do you call, what's the word I'm looking for? Can't call the name of it. But you ever had like when you pull the roots from your plants and the soil sticks to the roots, looks like you've watered it? Well, that's not water, so to speak. That is, and I can't call the name of that word to save my life right now, having a brain fart. But that is from the bacteria that's created that, uh, wow, I can't call the name of that. But the bacteria has created like a little substance. That's what makes that soil stick to the roots. And that's your rhizosphere. So those are things that we have to always take into consideration. The healthier your soil is, when you pull those roots out and your soil is not clinging to the roots, then that means your microorganisms or your microbes in your soil are not doing their job. That means that they're not as dominant as they should be. Now, while we still got a little light out here, and I like to jump around, even though we're talking about doing this here, and we're almost to that point. I'm gonna go back here again, try to get the camera as close. You see how dark that is? You see my hand down up in there? My hand is touching the glass, and the only way it's touching that glass is where you can see it. That's how dark you want that. And that's our rice wash. That's the first stage. So if we guys want to start doing this, that's the first stage. Again. And yes, I did. I've been back to Dollar Tree. I went to 2 Dollar Trees, so I didn't get them all off the shelf. So y'all can stop that. Stop that. I went to 2 different Dollar Trees. I left some of them. But I got probably, I want to say 8 pounds of fish, 8 pounds of sugar. You're going to need actually a little more than 8 pounds because you want, let me just see if I can, before we start getting too dark out here. 'Cause I'm gonna have to make a video on this because this actually will be a couple of hours out here just chopping this thing up. So now what I'm gonna do, let me see if I can tap the camera up a little bit. Yep. So I'm gonna come back down and answer some questions in a second. So y'all put your questions together, and we're gonna come down and get to the questions in a minute. So, and yes, indeedy, the smaller it's decomposition 101 is what I call it. The smaller your particle size, the faster decomposition. It's the same process that I do when I'm doing my composting. People ask me, well, how am I able to do composting in 18 to 20 days? Because I use the very smallest particle sizes. I don't do wood chips in my compost. I don't do large branches in my compost. Mostly it's going to be grass clippings, leaves, uh, shredded paper with my 20-page paper shredder. So I send the cardboard through a paper shredder. The smaller the particle size, the faster decompositions, the better your compost is going to be. So what we have down here, fish parts. Yes, sir. Fish parts, fish guts, fish heads, fish eyes, the bones, the whole nine. Let's see if we can do this for a thumbnail. Do like Broke say, thumbnail. So you see the guts still hanging out of it? So you eat off of this, and this goes back to the title of the video, the title of the live. Teach a man to fish, he can make fish fertilizer. Fish fertilizer will feed his family for a lifetime. I know that's not quite how it's supposed to go, but we just we're doing a little too much. So this is what we're doing here. Now, somebody said to me like, well, it takes 45 to 60 days. Nope. Going back to smaller particle size, the faster decomposition. It's just that simple, 101. That's decomposition 101. If you want something to decompose fast, what you do is make the smallest particle size. And how do we do that? We just put it in our blender. Let's see here. We got to do it all at once. We're just going to chop it down. And the bones, that becomes phosphorus. Now, now, when we're doing our fish hydrolysis, and that's what this is, fish hydrolysate is what it's called. It's not fish fertilizer. Fish fertilizer is a heated process. This is all done through cold fermentation. This is the best. All the enzymes, carbohydrates, the nitrogens, amino acids, all of those things are going to be preserved in this mix. You put this stuff on your garden, it makes everything stand up. This is, this is what I use now. And if you've been following the channel this year, you notice that most of the stuff that I've been doing this year hasn't been really about what I'm growing or how much fruit that I'm getting off, but it's really been about closing the loop. I've been wanting to share with you guys all of the things that we can do to close the loop. So when they start talking about fertilizer shortages, that's not the problem that we're going to have. When they start talking about food shortages, because fertilizer is not a problem, food shortage is not going to be a problem we're going to have because we can grow our own food. So that's what we're talking about when we're saying this year has been a commitment to closing the loop, learning how to make our fermented plant juices, learning how to make our fish hydrolysates. And the one thing that I've been kind of iffy about and showing the whole nine, and someone that's a little close to me kind of pulled my coattail and was like, I don't know if you want to show that because there's some chemicals involved, and if somebody has an issue, then that can become a liability on you. So The fulvic acid extract, if you can get whatever you can get out of that live that we did where we talked about it, that's about as much as I'm going to give out of that, because after I was thinking about that, that does put me in a vulnerable position to where, you know, we're doing uh, the lye wash, which is like a lye, soap lye. That pH is like an 11. So if you get that on your skin, it's going to burn you. If you get it on your skin, it's going to burn you. If you get it in your eyes, uh, yeah, yeah, that's not a, it's not going to be a repair. That's going to be some serious damage. So being advised, that's probably not something that I want to share, because everybody is not going to do the due diligence or taking precautions, putting on eyewear, putting on gloves, having the skin protected. So that's something that I'm probably not going to be sharing in its entirety. Whatever I gave you in that live, you can figure it out. I gave you the whole set to it. But I say again, do your own research. Do your own research, and you are responsible for the decisions that you make. So those are things. With this is harmless little stuff right here. So we're gonna just go in and just knock this down real quick. Gonna get loud, so we might have to go back and take the thing down. And let's see. So that's all we want to do. We don't want to run it fast. We just want to knock it. Yep. That's all we want to do. And I should have had me a, well, again, not being, I should have had me a stick or a knife or fork or something. So what we're trying to do now is we just want to get it all down up in there. Okay. So I'm going to just tap it again. We're not trying to blend, because we don't want the heat. That's one thing we don't want. We don't want that heating up. We just want to be able to get the fish in there and break it down. So you definitely don't want to stick your finger in this, because this thing is still plugged in. So I really need something clean. Yeah, because I don't want to contaminate this. Because yeah, but like a fork or something. You don't want to put anything in here like a stick or anything, because this has been in the freezer or in the refrigerator, and you don't. When you start taking sticks, you're adding in all type of foreign microorganisms. So what we're trying to do also is we want to be selective about the culture of bacteria that we're adding in here. So we want to be very careful on what we're adding in here. And little things like, I say, a stick or anything like that will be adding in other things that we don't want in here. This is why it doesn't take that 30 to 60 days that a lot of people were talking about. Most of the time, I can be using this probably in 20, 25 days, and that is to make sure that everything is fermented. You're going to have the bones in there. The bones are going to start to get a little charred. But what I do is when I scoop the fish fertilizer out or the fish hydrolysis out, I take the bones and I sift them and I put them in a separate thing, and then I allow them to dry out. And then as they dry out, I turn right back around and take my grinder, my coffee grinder, and I make bone meal. So there is the phosphorus that we're looking for right here in the fish that we're dealing with. So it's, again, closing the loop. I'm gonna come back over here and we're gonna chop it up a little bit so we know this part of it. Chop it up a little bit if you guys got any questions. Okay, I'm gonna put the top back on. Yeah, okay, thank you, babe. Wifey to the rescue. So I'm gonna put the top back on there real quick, and then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna chop it up a little bit. Okay, so let me get down here. Fish in the blender sound is making me laugh. Uh, Mo, Mohab, Mohava, Mohab. Okay, G Mama passed the Ritz crackers. She said, "No, ma'am, Nikki, I can't." Okay, so fish fertilizer blender sounds like making. Soil sister, well, I guess I won't be trying this anytime soon. Maybe over the winter when the bears are hibernating. Otherwise, I'll be every single bear in the neighborhood radius headed to our mountain. No, 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 no. And I'm going to say this again. And I think if you guys were in Miss T with the T chat this morning, you would have heard me say this. If your fit, this does not stink. Once you get past adding that turbinado sugar in here, that smell goes away. You can tell it has a hint of fish, absolutely, because it's fish. But once you add that lactic acid bacteria in there and you add that turbinado sugar, and this is my turbinado sugar right here. Once you add these in there and that bacteria starts to break that down, that pH is going to drop. And this is what I've been trying to tell you guys when we start talking about the super juice and stuff like that. When you open up that container on your super juice and it smells, that is bad anaerobic bacteria. This that we're doing here, we are using anaerobic bacteria, but it is good anaerobic bacteria. Most people associate anaerobes with bad, and all anaerobes are not bad, despite what you've been told. You have good anaerobes and you have bad anaerobes. Then you have those that can go back and forth. They can live in either or, with oxygen or without oxygen. That's all anaerobe means. When you start talking about anaerobic, that just means without oxygen. And that's what we'll be doing with our fish hydrolysis. It's just creating the ferment without oxygen. That smell, when you start getting a bad smell, now you got bad anaerobic bacteria in there. So anaerobic is only bad if you allow it to be bad. If you can smell it and it smells putrefied, then yes, that's bad. When you open that super juice, and I see people do it all the time, it's like, the joke is how bad it smells. It's really not a joke, because when you have it smelling like that, that means your pH is high enough to where salmonella and E. coli can thrive. Salmonella and E. coli cannot thrive in a 4.5 or below. That's why every time you hear me talk about my ferments, I always say 4.5 or below. That's going to be your threshold. How do you know you got a 4.5 or below? It's just that simple. You have to have the tools. In order to do these ferments, this is not something that you go willy-nilly about, because I guess you might call it what I call the SOS protocol. That's something that I do when I'm kind of brainstorming and I'm fooling with these ferments and stuff. I call it a SOS protocol. Smell. That's going to be the first thing. Smell. SOS. That's signs of dangers. SOS protocol. Smell. The next one is going to be observe. Look, see if you see any black or green mold. If you see any black or green mold, that is not good. That's observe. That's the S and the O. And then you come to the last S. And let me see if anybody knows what the last S is for. We gonna make that into a classroom question. SOS, smell, observe. What is the last S? And it goes to all of the tools that you have. I have my pH meter. I have my microscope. I have my, let's see what else I got in there. I got my refractometer. All of these things represent that last S in the SOS. And if you remember that SOS protocol, when you're doing these ferments, everything is going to become easy for you because those are the rules, those are the laws. The SOS is the laws of fermentation. Smell, observe, and the S for this. I want somebody to tell me. I'm gonna let y'all put that one together. What's that last S for? Let me see if somebody in there can come up with a word. Uh, Leanne says science. Uh, the acinator. What's going on, my guy? Got that garlic out for you today, the acinator. Um, no, not sense. We gonna roll with this one for a minute. What's the last S? The last S. What does this thing do? And the acronym would be an S. Strain. Nope. Again, when we're talking about ferments, this protocol, SOS, is what you always want to keep in mind when you're doing your ferments. No matter what it is that you're doing, SOS, smell. If it smells, that's bad. That's not a good thing. When you observe colors, the uh, consistency of it, green, black, molds, that's not good. The last thing that we do, if those two things check out, this is the science. But this is not the S. The S is, somebody say stress, strain, supplies. Suzette says, she says, I forgot. Broke says C. No, Broke. C is observe. So you got the second part. Uh, Pink Hibiscus says sample. So y'all put the hit the hearts over there since y'all can't come up with it. I'm gonna give it to you. If y'all want the answer right now, somebody says Mahava says science. Nope. Somebody says Mahava says science. Come on now, G Mama. G Mama. Come on now. What are we doing when we pick this tool up? What are we doing? Saturation. Nope. Miss Penny says saturation. Swing. Nope. Open. Nope. What's going on, man? Say swing. So this is what we're gonna do. We gonna make this interesting, and then I'm gonna keep going because I'm not gonna tell you what this is. Uh, Pink Hibiscus says she's speaking to Fresh. Seek Maddie. Tamish says sauce. Come on, G Mama. Don't be giving me them shoulders now. Now, if y'all just put a thumb up in the chat if you want me to give it to you, or I can sit on this for a little while and we can do a gift for somebody who comes up with the last S. Miss Shirley OG says soil. Nope. Again, we're talking about a protocol. If you're in creating your fermented plant juices, if you're creating your ferments, any type of fermentations, this is a SOS protocol that you always want to use before moving to the next phase. The first one is smell. When you open this container up and if it smells stink, putrid, that is a bad thing. So that means you need to pause, figure out what you did wrong. Maybe go back in, add some more turbinado sugar in it. Maybe go back in and add some more of your lactic acid serum because you need to get that pH down. If that pH is down, you're not going to have that smell. That's the key to it all right there, the smell. Bingo! Beach, what is that? Beach bun. Beach bun. Hit it. Substantiate. Beach bun. Substantiate. That's what this thing does. You can have your opinions, you can have your own little, however you want to do it. But if this does not tell you that that pH is a 4.5 or below, that is your substantiate. You can move forward at that point. If this thing does not read a 4.5 or below, you got to back up and figure out where you did something wrong, because what you will be doing at that point is potentially harboring some things that can be far more dangerous to you than it is beneficial at that point. That's what we're doing when we have that super juice sitting out there. And I know everybody's like, I've been using super juice for years, but don't take my word for it. Look it up. The pH, if you go out and test the pH on your super juice, and that super juice is above a 4.5, that is breeding ground for salmonella. It is a breeding ground for E. coli. They thrive in that neutral pH. So if your ferments are not 4.5 or below, and you cannot substantiate that with the pH meter, you need to start over or toss it out. It's that simple. So I really haven't talked a whole lot about the super juice because I know some people are really touchy about it. You can make the super juice, use it before it gets to that smell. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe. After that, you need to be putting that stuff away because that smell is not what makes it strong. What happens is, as that putrefying smell comes in, that is rotting. That's not fermentation. That is rotting. Rotting and fermenting are different. It's totally different. And they're going to give you different results. Now, the bad bacteria that's formed in that super juice, our soil, if you have good soil, your soil will basically take those bad bacteria and consume them. When they consume them and they poop, the exudates that come out, they release and they convert that back into good nutrients. So that's the reason why people are going to say, well, I've been doing it for years and I know it works. Yes, it does work. That still does not remove the fact that you could be adding E. coli as well as salmonella into your soil. That's just what it is. When you scoop out that super juice and you enter oxygen into that container, those bacteria die. That's the end of it. Once you put that oxygen in there, because again, we're not talking about anaerobic as in bad. Most people say anaerobic and they automatically think bad. Anaerobic can be bad, but anaerobic is not always bad. Bad is always anaerobic, but anaerobic is not always bad. Let me just put that out there. Substantiate. Smell, SOS. Smell, observe, substantiate. Then once we get our fish emulsion, fish hydrolysis mixed down, then we take it inside, we put it on our microscope. Now I know the average person is not going to have a microscope, but this is why I can be confident in the things that I'm going to say to you when I'm telling you this process. If you keep that pH below that 4.5, when you put that under the microscope, you're going to have all the good bacteria that's going to be working in your behalf. That's what's going to be feeding your plants. That's what's going to be feeding all of your soil microbes. This is the life that we're putting into our garden. And it's so far better than that 511. I can promise you that. And you can make it, again, teach a man to fish, he can make fish fertilizer. He can make fish fertilizer, he can feed his family for a lifetime. That's how simple this is. Let me get my lights on. I came with my lights today, so we're gonna see how this goes, because I felt like we were gonna be carrying over a little bit. So let me see here. I don't know how. Okay, may have to adjust it a little bit. Come back here. Turn my other one on in the backdrop. So we're just trying some different things, man. And we are going to do all of this together. Let's see here. And I'm just trying some different positions tonight because I said I was going to be out here a little while, so I wanted to try to see if I could, and that may fall off back there. But we going to see. All right. So now let's come back down to the chat. How gal, pH meter. Let's see. Let me go back up a little bit. Let's see if I missed anything. Mike's Chaotic Gardening says must be a chemistry thing. Cool to learn a new term. Yep. I've gotten my brews down to 3.5. G Mama says she's gotten her brews down to 3.5. Okay. So going back to what Mike asked about our FPJ, this thing hasn't been sifted out. So we finna test and see firsthand what the pH is. I haven't done anything to it. We're gonna turn our pH meter on. It's my first time bringing it out since putting it. Let's see here. Wipe that off. Gonna power up the pH meter. And it's gonna, because you're gonna top it off with, this is our fermented plant juice, our Mexican sunflower back there. This has been topped off with brown sugar, and what it does is it creates a cap, and that keeps oxygen from getting down. So again, this is anaerobic, but this does not smell. It's been, when was the last time we did this? I've had this going for about 10 days now. Does not smell at all. Again, SOS, smell. Substantiate. You want to look at it, see if any green or black mold is starting to form. If any green or black mold is starting to form, that means that you have bad anaerobic bacteria. So I don't have any green or black mold on here. And the last thing we're going to do is substantiate. And let's see, we're going to put this up to the camera, and we're going to drop that in as we go. And let's see if you guys will be able to see that. Trying to get the, you know what I'm gonna do? Because ain't nobody gonna be able to see that. This is my bowl. I think I'm gonna sift it. Let's see here. Got a little bowl right here. And take our cheesecloth. And we're gonna squeeze some of that juice out of there. And I want you guys to be able to see it. So I'm gonna put this back just a second. Hopefully you guys can see it. All right. So remember, this is through osmotic pressure. Brown sugar and the tender leaves, and it extracts the nutrients, the hormones out of that. Let's see what take my little wand here. That's our little wand right there. Set that to the side. And then we're gonna squeeze this off. Thought I had another bucket out here. So, see that? You see all that juice coming out of there? That's osmotic pressure that caused that. And all of that, those are the plant hormones that we just harvested out of the tips of that Mexican sunflower. Let's see if I can get the camera to really see. You see how much that, I'm just letting it sit over my hand. I don't want to waste it. There we go. See it right there? It's a little squeeze. Look at all that juice come out. Now, the beautiful part about that is this little bit that we created will last us all season long. What fertilizer you gonna buy? You hear that? What fertilizer you gonna buy from the big box store? You're gonna be able to make. That's one harvest off of that little bitty Mexican sunflower bush over there. And I can get probably 5 or 6 harvests off of that through the course of the season. See that? Let's see if you can see it dripping in there. I really need a light in front of me. And the more you squeeze that, now, look at my hands. Yeah. Does not smell at all. Smells kind of smells like sweet wine, like wine, literally like wine. Now, if I had another batch of fermented plant juice that I was trying to start, this becomes my culture. I don't have to go through all of those processes that we went through the last time when we did our rice wash. We went from the rice wash over to created our lactic acid bacteria. This alone becomes our starter culture. You could take this, drop it into your next one, and all the microbes, all the lactic acid bacteria that you're looking for are right here. Everything you need. You could basically cycle this over and over again. A few tablespoons into your new batch every time. That's all it is. It becomes a cycle at that point. And this again, what we're talking about closing the loop. I mean, you could, just depends on how much I want to get out of this. See, every time you squeeze it, more and more. So let's see, I'm gonna sit this to the side. And it feels like a syrup. I mean, it feels like syrup. So I'm gonna put that down right there for a second. And I'm gonna let you, you see how this stuff is dripping off my fingers. Let you see that. See that? It's dripping off my fingers. And look how much liquid we got down there. That's off of just one little harvest. And this stuff is so powerful. You're talking about 1 teaspoon to a gallon. 1 teaspoon to a gallon of water. Dechlorinated, dechloramined water. 1 teaspoon. You can foliar feed any of these plants around here. You could do a tablespoon if you're going to do a root drench. But if you want to foliar feed, 1 teaspoon is all it needs. Now, I need something to wash my hands because I can't touch the screen now. I had a, just, y'all bear with me for a second because I did bring a t-shirt out here that I could wash my hands with because I anticipated this. So, y'all come on up with your Your questions, any other things that you guys want to do? Because like I said, all of this is part of what we're talking about when saying closing the loop. You want to ask about what you can feed your blueberries. Your blueberries love this. Yeah, that's the cheat code. I'm keep giving out these cheat codes. This thing's like syrup. I'm gonna keep giving out these cheat codes. Your blueberries love it. That lactic acid bacteria, the liquid whey. So my hands, you hear that? Got my microphone right here. You hear how sticky that is? It's like literally like syrup. So I'm gonna see if I can move the camera without. Okay. So I really need like something like a disinfectant to put on my hands, but do I have? And I usually will have them. Again, like I said, this I'll be running back and forth. So I'm gonna sit this right here for now. This is our little ball of it. And then we're gonna pour it back into the jar, and then you're gonna be able to see just how much liquid. Let me bring this thing closer because I want you guys to be able to see this in the light. Ooh. We're gonna bring this back closer to the light. Moving to the light. All right. All right. So that's a little better. So I want to show you just how much we just harvested, and I still got a little bit more in there. Let me see if I can turn this thing. We're gonna see if we can pour that in without wasting it on me. It's all liquid. Get all that. So I have these little mason jars, and this is how I'll transfer it over to the mason jars. So this will probably be close to maybe a half of a mason jar. That'll last us all season. So this is, look at all that liquid. Fermented plant juice. Y'all just saw it. Y'all remember when I harvested this? It's been about 10 days, and this is what came out of that harvest. 1 teaspoon to a gallon is all we need. So I really need some of my hands. I can't touch anything right now because my hands are. Let's see here. Y'all bear with me for a second. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to. I wish I would be able to show you that pH. And then too, even if you have a higher pH, it's not a wash, because what we can do also is we can add some of our, yeah, because I can't touch nothing. I'm getting this, I'm getting stuff everywhere. My wife come out here with some bottled water. It's still, hold on. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that works. Wish you had some soap. Yeah, that works. Hold on, 1 second. Washing my hands real quick. Don't pour it all now. Trying to clean my hands off so we can get back to the screen a little bit more. All right, thank you. Uh, I told you about that. Talking about you need to be on payroll. Stop paying that mortgage. See how that goes over. Just a little bottle of water. So, and then because we just had all of this sticky all over everything, and we just went into separate, our uh, our pH meter is not going to give us a good reading. We have to be able to. You always want to clean that pH meter between your readings because even the slightest little electrons from the other mix will contaminate that, and you'll get a false reading. So you want to be able to clean your pH meter between each one of those. I'm thinking I might move one of these lights up in front of me. Let's see how it works. Y'all tell me if this is better. Okay, that's cool. So let me get down to the bottom of the chat. Okay. So now I'm down to the bottom of the chat. Fresh and Fire, what's going on? Growing with Hudson is in the building. Thank you for coming in. Us wives always got y'all back. You are so right, Fresh and Fire. Because, hey, I didn't realize just how much goes into this. Like I said, it's not difficult at all. There's nothing hard about it. But there are a lot of moving pieces to doing this whole thing. You got to go from, again, your rice wash, from your rice wash over to adding that to your quart of milk. You're going to put 6 tablespoons, and I'm going to give you the whole case now. I'm just kind of throwing this off the top of my head. So if I miss something, you guys make sure that you ask me any questions. So you're going to take your rice wash. We're going to go back and show you the rice wash. So this is our rice wash. You see how it looks like milk now. That's what it is. Looks like milk. Trying not to get wet. Now, even with me doing what I just did by touching my liquid whey, by touching my fermented plant juice and then putting my fingers in there, this is now contaminated. So you won't be able to use this at this point. Just a simple, you got to think about that little stickiness on my fingers. Once it touches down in that, it's going to start feeding on that starch in there. So it'll dominate this. And the indigenous microorganisms, the wild yeast, they won't be able to compete with it. So I'm just showing you this for the example right now. But that's what we have, the rice wash. Looks like milk now. That's what you want. Goes from that, you put 6 tablespoons of this into a quart of pasteurized milk. Put a cap on it, breathable cap. Let's make sure we say that. Breathable cap. And that's why I have stuff like the filters, or I have like a paper towel, just something to where it can breathe. And then you put that over it and you allow that to sit. Once you put your rice wash into your milk, 6 tablespoons, you let that sit for anywhere, like I said, 6 to 10 days, roughly, and you'll see it coagulate. And the solids will go to the top and your amber liquid will be at the bottom. And when you sift off that amber liquid, this is what you have. And that's lactic acid serum or lactic acid bacteria, which is our lactic acid serum. This is what we add to our fish. Once we get our fish blended up, we add this to our fish. Not a whole lot. We probably put about half of this jar in there, and that gives it just a little more liquid in it. But this is what starts to work. And then we basically put that in the garage with a breathable cap on it. We let it ferment for about 20, 25 days. When we come back, it's pretty much the liquid in it looks like how we have with our FPJ. It's going to be a lot thicker because it looks like a pudding. That's what your fish hydrolysis will look like. It'll look like a pudding. And then you basically take, again, a teaspoon of that to a gallon. Teaspoon, tablespoon, you got to kind of play with it a little bit, see how your plants respond to it. But it is so far better than any type of fish fertilizer you're going to buy from the store. And I was in the big box store the other day, $29 for a bottle of fish fertilizer that's been heated up, and a lot of the enzymes are cooked away from it. This is cold processed. Everything, the enzymes, the amino acids, because that's really what it's called also. Some people call it a fish amino acid. This is the best stuff to add to your soil. You put this in your soil, your plants are going to wake up. They're going to love you for it. You're basically going to be feeding. I like this little, y'all tell me what y'all think about the light in the back there. I kind of like that. Do I need more light up front, or is everything looking good? Because we're really into the dark right now, and I think the lighting looks pretty good. Y'all let me know. What's going on, Empress Herbal? Thank you for coming in. Mike's Chaotic Garden say you good. How Gal is speaking to Empress Herbal. Empress Herbal says G Mom, hey to Mike's Chaotic Gardening. Fresh and Fire says, oh, the light is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Fresh and Fire, since she's in the room, Fresh and Fire, her and her husband, they were the inspiration for this whole thing right here. The pads that's on this Chase Lounge, I have no problem with saying where I got the idea from. I got the idea from Fresh and Fire. If you guys are not following them, they got a beautiful garden. Beautiful garden. I mean, the landscaping, the whole setup is very nice that they have over there. But I was watching them on one of their videos, excuse me, and they had a greenhouse that they had these pads on it. The pipe pads is what it is. And when I saw that, I said, yep, I got to do that. So having the Chase Lounge, it wasn't being used because the canopy was tore up on it. So bought me a cattle panel for it, put it up there. Now we're growing grapes up it. Everest grapes are going to be growing up the cattle panel. And that padding on the outside, just that was that extra touch that needed. And I got to say again, Fresh and Fire, they were the inspiration for that. So let me go back down here to the chat. Growing with Hudson is speaking to Nikki, the OCD is chick. Carrie B Creations is speaking to Grandmama G Mama Grows, 100 on the lighting. Okay, yeah, she says at 100 on the lighting. Beautiful, dopeness garden, etc. Says, hey, growing out the box and everyone. Let's see here. Leanne Cannon, 1450 says, have you heard of Super Labs? It's adding a little spirulina, I don't know what that is, to the rice water before the milk step. Adding a little rice water. Yeah. Uh, would you be referring to this? Rice water. That's what I use when I'm starting my fish hydrolysis. I only use this when I'm doing fish hydrolysate. I don't use this any other time. When I'm doing my liquid waste sprays in the garden, I do not use this. It's a different strain of the lactic acid bacteria. These are different, and you're absolutely correct. This would be called a super strain of the lactic acid bacteria. The one that I use for my liquid whey, it's uh it's the dominant strains that are left over from pasteurization. So they're totally different. Like I said, they're over, I want to say 246 strains and still counting, 246 strains of lactic acid bacteria. So yeah, the rice water adds a whole different element to it because you're going to have again your wild microbes, your wild yeast. They're going to attach to that rice wash, and they're going to multiply, and they're going to feed off that rice wash, and then you're basically going to feed that to your milk, and that's what's going to come in, and it's going to start eating the lactose in the milk. As the lactose is fed on in the milk, it'll separate, coagulate, and you'll have your solids on the top and your lactic acid serum, which is this right here. That's what's going to be on the bottom. This is the start to your fish fertilizer. So even if we don't get past this tonight, you guys got the rice wash, and you got the whole process going into getting to your lactic acid serum. Once you have your lactic acid serum, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to do your fish. You're going to put about half of this jar into your fish hydrolysis, mix it up 50-50. You're going to be 50-50 with your turbinado sugar. 50-50 by weight, not by visual, by weight. You want to do 50% turbinado sugar, 50% weight of whatever your fish is at the end. With me, I like to do 4 to 6 pounds. So it'll be 4 to 6 pounds of turbinado sugar mixed with it. And then when you do your, in your mason jar, you're gonna seal it. You wanna put a cap on that. So you're gonna take your turbinado sugar after you have your fish hydrolysis and your mix down here. You're gonna sprinkle the turbinado sugar all around the top. You wanna create a cap. And what that does is that's gonna seal it. And it's gonna allow the fish hydrolysis to start forming at the bottom without having any contaminants getting in, because you don't want at that point any wild microbes getting into your fish hydrolysis. That's why I was saying once I touch that rice wash with my FPJ, I wouldn't use that because that's now contaminated with the bacteria that's in my FPJ, and that'll dominate that rice wash over the wild microbes. So let's go back down to the chat. Tap into YouTube reaction emoji. Draw other neighbors passing by into the live stream. That's right. Thank you, G Mama. Leanne Cannon says, yes, thank you, G Mama. Empress Herbal says, now you have to know to take all the sugar from the store. Uh, this time, I didn't get it all from one store. I went to two different Dollar Trees and got the turbinado sugar. This, again, what I was saying to some of the people the first time, I did clean the shelves off, so I'm not even going to front and say I didn't. I cleaned the shelves off the first time that I went up to a Dollar Tree and found this turbinado sugar in there. You know, I got kind of excited that they had the turbinado sugar. It was I want to say $1.20 or something like that. And this is, let's see, a pound. Yeah, this is a pound, so $1.20 a pound. I don't know if that's a good price or not. I wasn't even interested in how much it cost. I know this is what I needed to do what it is that I needed to do to be able to share it with you guys. And for the few bags of sugar that I took off the shelf, the lesson that I'm sharing with you guys is far greater than the few bags of the few bags of sugar that somebody's going to be missing off the shelf. Sharing this information, and this is for you guys to not only just have it, but to share it as well. But if we continue to share this type of information, we can close the loop. That's the whole point of this whole thing. So sometimes there's a greater to less. And, by me taking more of the sugar to create these FPJs, the FLJs, the fish hydrolysates, would you say that's worth it? If I'm sharing that with the community, I needed that sugar in order to show you guys how that works. Not just how it works, but let you see the garden as it is. So this is just a part of the whole thing. Beautiful dopeness garden, etc. Says, hey at Mike's Chaotic Gardening. Let's see. G Mama says, I've tried the bulk grocery store with the brown sugarcane sugar, maybe cheaper. Uh, Brown sugar doesn't compare. G Mama, when you get a chance, and if you have not, I'm not saying that you haven't, but if you have not, turbinado sugar runs circle around brown sugar. All brown sugar is processed sugar with turbinado sugar added back to it or molasses. It's already been processed. This has not been processed. This comes off of when they make the molasses. It's brown because the molasses is brown, not because you put something in it to make it brown. This is the true color of turbinado sugar. This is the next best thing to molasses. And I actually like this better when it comes to doing ferments, because with the molasses, you're putting liquid into your ferments. So it kind of blends together. With the turbinado sugar, you almost put like a dry mix together. So when you come back to it and you see that liquid starts to form, you know that this stuff is working. That's why I like using the turbinado sugar rather than the molasses. The molasses kind of gives you a false sense of security, because once you put that molasses in there, you're going to get that liquid to fall to the bottom anyway because it's molasses. But with this, it has to do a conversion. It has to start pulling those nutrients out of those succulents. And once it starts doing that, all of this came from the leaves on that Mexican sunflower. One harvest. So we were probably right here for the Mexican sunflower that we harvested, the tips, to make maybe a quarter of that in a liquid form. This, when I put this into my little small mason jars, this will probably be maybe a little over half. This will last me all season and probably then some, because I'm going to be switching up different times. Like right now, the tips of this I would not use on my citrus that's in the ground. I was going to do another harvest of the Mexican sunflower, and we're going to be harvesting the older leaves. The older leaves are going to have more of the potassium, the nitrogen. It's going to have more of the nutrients as opposed to the biological effects that we have in the tips. The biological effects in the tips are going to be, again, your auxins, your gibberellins, and your cytokinins. Those are all the growth stimulants, the growth hormones in the plant. They're all to the top in that apical dominance. That's the reason why your plant, when it starts pushing up to the top, that's why it continues to grow. That's the apical dominance, and that's where all those growth hormones are concentrated. That's the reason why we harvested that. That is what this is. This is a biological stimulant. This is not what I would call a fertilizer. Now, when I do the lower leaves on the same bush, that becomes more of a fertilizer. It's going to have some bacteria, it's going to have your microorganisms, but it's going to be more of a fertilizer because you're getting the older leaves, which are more packed with the potassium, especially in the Mexican sunflower. The Mexican sunflower is a powerhouse for potassium, and the nitrogen tends to fall as the leaves get a little older. So what I would do with the older leaves of my Mexican sunflower, harvest them now, make an FLJ, which is a fermented leaf juice, which is slightly different from the FPJ, which is a fermented plant juice. And I would use that this time of the year because my citrus that's in the ground, I got a brown select satsuma in the ground that's putting off crazy new growth because I've been feeding it these type of nutrients. I've been feeding it the hormones. and you can see that thing just busting off with just growth everywhere. It's just growth everywhere. But now I got to slow that down. By slowing it down, I'll give it the FLJ. The FLJ is going to give it the potassium. It's going to start building up the sap into the walls because we want to start getting it ready to slow down growth because we want to start getting it ready for winter. Yeah, I know we still in the middle of summer, but in the month of August, with your citrus and Georgia Zone 8A, if you're in a colder climate and you're growing a cold hardy citrus like I am, brown select satsuma, that's in the ground, it's not going back in the house. So this thing has to start settling down for the winter because it's not so much that your plant is cold hardy, it's that your plant has to be able to shut itself down before the cold comes in. That's one of the benefits. And as I was learning about my Poncirus trifoliate, that was the key to me making different decisions on how I grow my brown select satsuma. As I started learning about how the Poncirus trifoliate literally shuts itself down through the wintertime, that is what makes it so cold hardy. It's not the fact that the plant itself is cold hardy, because if it's pushing saps, the Poncirus trifoliate also is going to take a hit if that temperature drops. But what the Poncirus trifoliate does is it starts pulling those saps down and going back into the roots. And by the time that is, it's ready to go into those cold spells. So that's what I'm trying to do with my brown select satsuma. I'm trying to give it that same mechanic that helps that Poncirus trifoliate settle in and be able to survive the Poncirus trifoliate negative 30 degrees. That's the big citrus tree that I have out here. The citrus tree that's about 12 feet tall right now, that citrus tree will go down to about negative 30 degrees. That's the root stock for every citrus tree that's out here. So when we start doing grafting, we always have our, our root stock for our grafts. We can use any of our citrus trees to graft on top of that, and we'll get some. Ooh, man, something is. I think this sugar is drawing them over here. But let me get this in here. Pouring the rest of that back in there. And I need to cover that back up before I start getting any insects in it. Let me just cover this up. And I'm just putting that paper towel back on it with my rubber band. And I'll let you guys see what that looks like. After you get your juice off of it, because this thing is probably still fermenting, so you don't want to cap it, so to speak, right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a top on this, and then we'll burp it, probably for the next 2 weeks. And then that's when we know that this thing is shelf stable. pH, the key to this, the pH has to be 4.5 or below, or it will not last on the shelf. If your pH is still a little high, you can add a little lactic acid bacteria back into it. The lactic acid bacteria will help bring that pH down. If at the end your ferment hasn't gotten to where you want it at, just add a little bit of your lactic acid bacteria back into it. As G Mama was saying, she's got a 3.8. Most of my ferments are going to be 4.0, 3.8. They're going to land somewhere around that. And it's nothing for you to take some of your lactic acid serum, add it into your fish hydrolysate if you need to bring that pH down. But that pH must be below a 4.5 in order to be shelf stable. So what's going on, Dave Busby? Let's see here, Empress Herbal. I can't wait to see your grafting onto the trifoliate. Yeah, I actually took some not air layers, cuttings. I took some cuttings off of my Poncirus trifoliate, and they got some pretty good roots on it. So probably spring of next year, I'll be able to start grafting onto those. I did about 10 of them. Empress Herbal, I was over to Empress Herbal's house the other day, and she had a citrus tree that died back, and then the trifoliate started growing out. So I was telling her the same thing, that she could take that and graft some of her other citrus onto that and make more plants. So you're going to have your rootstock now. You have your own private rootstock. How Gal says calibrations, that's what the pH meter is for. Let's see what we have here. How do you test your pH? Test strips. She asks, how do we test our pH? We have a pH meter. That goes back to our protocol. We say in our protocol, SOS. Now let me see who can put up in the chat what SOS means. Let me see if y'all paying attention. SOS. What does SOS mean in our protocol when we're doing our fermentations? Let me see if y'all paying attention. It's a few in here I expect to have it right away, but I want to see who's paying attention. It says North Carolina. Awesome. I'm a newbie. Hey, we all are newbies. You know what I mean? We're all are newbies. No question. And I always tell people to smell, observe, and substantiate. My guy broke farmer on the job. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. Smell, observe, and substantiate. Crafty Grandma, what's going on? Thank you for coming in. So we are all going to be chemists. That's what I want to be. Crafty Grandma said. But really, when we're doing, and Broke got me saying this, Broke Farmer, about organic. I really stopped saying organic, and I go to natural farming, because that's really what it is: natural gardening, natural growing. We're taking natural inputs and we're using that to supplement what our soil is. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to say I haven't watered with my municipal water this year, because I have, but I might can count on one hand the number of times that I've watered my garden from my water hose this year. And what I am seeing, just the greening up of everything, being able to put these ferments into the soil, to where every time we water with that tap water, we literally reset our microbes, because the tap water is designed to do exactly the opposite of what we're trying to do if we're trying to grow naturally. And that is build the microbes up in the soil, build the bacteria in the soil, build your fungus in the soil, your fungi. The municipal water has chlorine and chloramine in it. It is designed to tear down what it is that we're trying to build up. So what I'm learning is, the less that I use that tap water, the more resilient my garden is, the higher the Brix levels of the plants. Why? Because I'm not resetting. Now, I don't want anybody to say once you water your garden with your tap water, it's going to kill all your microbes. It will not. So let's just get that out the way. But what it does is it destroys a lot of your microbes, so your population has to rebound every time you do that. So what happens if we could just not reset our microbes, if they're continuously feeding on the organic matter that's in our gardens? Could we go a season without having to water from the water hose? Can we just do basic watering? And then this is where we go into where I was thinking of, like a waterless, not a waterless, but a waterless garden. Waterless garden. If your soil is maintaining moisture, you're properly mulching, because all of my beds are mulched 2 to 3 inches. You're going to be holding that moisture in a lot longer. Your microbes are going to be producing a little more. Your man, that word almost popped in my head that I forgot earlier. Um, the it'll come to me when I'm not trying to think of it. But we're going to get down here and read some of the chat. Exactly, Empress Herbal. Waterless garden, not waterless, waterless garden. That is the goal. That's been my goal this year. Again, closing the loop, sharing with you guys what I'm doing. You're asking me like the powdery mildew. I show you guys my squash plants. I show you guys my cucumber plants. We're August right now. Do I have hints of powdery mildew that'll show up? Yes. What I'll do is I'll start spraying that way on it. And even on some of them, I'll take a soft paintbrush. If you got some powdery mildew starting, spray that liquid way on it. Put you some gloves on, get you a soft paintbrush. And I'm talking about a painter's paintbrush, like a house paint, the soft paintbrush. Spray that liquid way on it and just remove the powdery mildew. You can remove it. That's the question that I get asked more than anything. Well, if you have powdery mildew, can you remove it? Yes, you can remove it, but you have to catch it early on. Everything that we're doing out here is about prevention. And as long as we move forward and stop things happening before it happens, we're going to do a better job at it. So let's see. Use rainwater and water, pure water to make FPJs. Uh, Me personally, I don't use rainwater for my FPJs. I'm strictly distilled water for my FPJs because even with rainwater, you're still going to have you got native microbes in the air. You got native uh, yeast in the air. So it's contaminated. Even your rainwater, it's contaminated. If you want the best cultures going into your FPJs, this is it right here. Distilled water. It only costs $1.25. To do what I just did right here, what I put less than a cup to make this rice water wash. Those native microbes that I'm telling you is going to get into your rainwater, they're already in this. They're going to feed on the starches in this rice water wash. So, yeah, you could use rainwater. I don't. I don't. And that's because I want to be able to control from start to finish as much as I can in my ferments. I don't want any outside interference from anything happening from my ferments. So I'm trying to exclude as much as I can because that's really what this is all about. Dominant exclusion is what it's called. Dominant exclusion. When you spray in liquid whey on your plants, that's dominant exclusion. You're basically putting more of one bacteria on the plant to keep other bacteria or spores from landing on it. It's all about dominant seclusion. So by using distilled water, you come into the table with a clean slate. And this is just my recommendations. This is not, what's this say right here? You be doing too much. That's part of what my doing too much is. I kind of go a little overboard with it, but the end results have told me through my own personal experience and through my SOS protocol, smell, observe, substantiate. And not only that, I'm going to start showing you guys some of the things that I'm seeing under the microscope because I could take this inside, put this on the microscope, and there's life in this. I mean, there is life everywhere. This thing is just teeming with life. So every step of the way that you could control what goes into your ferments, that's going to be better in the long term for you getting what it is that you want to have in those ferments. So I don't use rainwater. And one of the reasons I stopped using rainwater because I was using rainwater on my blueberries and then I was seeing some chlorosis starting to set in. And then I went and tested my rainwater. My rainwater was a pH of an 8.9. My rainwater was a pH of an 8.9. Let me say that again. My rainwater had a pH of an 8.9. So how is that possible? Because it was coming off of my gutters, which was coming off of my shingles, which was contaminating my rainwater. So all of these things we have to take into account when we start talking about collecting rainwater for our ferments. This is one of the reasons why I don't use it. Fine for water in the garden, bad for FPJ. Yeah, uh, yeah, good for water in the garden. But again, we still have to make sure that we're not giving the garden bad rainwater, because just because it's rainwater, it's not like it fell out the sky and fell into this bucket, unless that's how you're collecting it. But if you're like me, I was collecting the rainwater off the roof of my garden house over there. But what that was doing was it was getting contaminated from the shingles. The shingles was causing the rainwater to be alkaline. And I was using that on my blueberries, and not until my blueberries started showing signs of chlorosis that I started tracing it back to try to figure out where was this happening at, because it was in my rain barrel. My rain barrel was a 8.9, like super high, that was coming from the shingles. So yeah, let's see here. They'll be bouncing all around the microscope slide. Yes, that's right, Empress Herbal. So Hudson at GSTY. Dave Busby, what's going on? So we are, I ain't gonna be out here blending right now because I'm gonna finish this up probably in the morning. It's Saturday in the morning. I'll probably finish that up in the morning. Um, no heroes, no victims. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That helps me deliver back to you guys, because most of the time I take these gifts or super chats and I'm gonna share it back with my moderators. So that'll be things that I put aside, and most of the time we'll gift. And I'm just telling you guys again, the symbiotic relationship. We can do something like a lottery. This is how big, and this is like, I'm gonna point to this again. You be doing two, and the two is upside down. The two is upside down for a reason. Much, and that's the lighthearted side of it. You be doing too much. But here's what I want to do that could be a little too much, and I think you guys are going to benefit from it. We're talking about, again, the symbiotic relationship. Let's say, for example, we're in the chat. Some super chats come in. At the end of the chat, minus YouTube's, because YouTube gets a piece of that, minus YouTube's portion out of that, we do a lottery, and somebody in the chat gets everything that was in the chat. Is that doing too much? Y'all let me know. Is that doing too much? So basically, we put a pool together. Whenever I'm on live, we all kind of chip in, throw some little super chats up here, minus what YouTube takes. We'll do a lottery at the end. Somebody take it. Y'all let me know if that's doing too much, because those are the type of things that I want to do. And this goes back to that symbiotic relationship. You and I, we got to work together to get to where we want to get to. And if you're going to support me, I'm going to support you. And that's something that I want to do different than a lot of YouTubers, than a lot of content creators. I want to be able to pour into you in the same way that you pour into me. This is not about me. This is about us. That's what growing out the box is. That's what this whole thing is about. So but again, you guys have to pour in. And at the end of the live, we'll do a lottery, and we'll get with somebody who knows how to do the little lottery thing, and we'll roll a wheel or something, and somebody will get picked, and somebody will walk away with the givings in the chat for that evening. Because not to go all off in a tangent. We're gonna be getting out of here in a second. But this is that thing that I like to say, but my cup runneth over. It's like I'm I'm not gonna say I got well, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So when things like that come in, I want to be able to put that back into the community. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's not about how much I can come in here and collect off of you guys. This is really about we creating, and even if, like, let's say for example somebody in our community that may be going through some things, we can come in, pool some dollars together. At the end of the chat, we share that with that person. These are the things that I want to do right here. You be doing too much. These are the things that I want to do. These are the things that I want to share with our community. And this is the position that I want to play. This is not something that somebody told me to do it. This is just the direction that the channel is going in. And I need to wipe my eye because it feels like something is in my eye. And I do not want to touch it with my hands. All right. So let's get down to the chat. We're going to chop it up a little bit. And remember this. There you go. Empress Herbal. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So again, there are people, you know what I mean? Somebody is always going through something. Somebody is always going through something. And I think we can do for ourselves. That's what this whole thing, closing the loop. This is what sharing how to make the fish fertilizer. This is what sharing how to make the fish hydrolysis. This is sharing what to grow in these times. Everybody's shutting their garden down. We ain't shutting no garden down. We steady growing over here because we're growing what needs to grow this time of the season. We're growing tomatoes that, man, I need to wipe my eye, and I really do not want to put my fingers. When you're messing with these bacteria and fungi, be careful also. You are dealing with live cultures, so you have to really be mindful of rubbing your eyes when you see. This is why I had the gloves on, but even with those gloves on, I'm still a little mindful of touching my eyes and touching my face because you got living bacteria on your hands. So we want to be mindful of that. Be safe at all times. You need baby wipes out there. We want to be crafty, Grandma. Yeah, I probably do. But again, this is from our FPJ. This is the solids from our FPJ. You can use this to inoculate your next FPJ. So if I go out tomorrow and I harvest early morning my Mexican sunflower, my comfrey, all I got to do is add just a little bit of this in there. The cultures in this will spark everything. So you won't even have to do the rice wash. You won't have to do the FPJ. You won't have to do any of that. This becomes your culture. And also, thank you, darling. Yeah. Yeah, something like it was in the corner of my eye. Okay. So if you want to talk about your super juice again, here is the answer. I promise you, I promise you, if you make an FPJ and you drop this in your super juice before you make the super juice, not after you got it going and it's all stinky, put this in your super juice before it actually starts to ferment, you will not have a stinky super juice. This is what I've been doing. When I make my FPJs, I'll take a chunk of this, throw it into the water, dechlorinate, dechloramine. This, you see what I'm talking about? What is that? Marcia 6308. Thank you. Now we're gonna tab this up. We're gonna tab in this is what we're gonna do this time. We're gonna tab up all the super chats that come in tonight, and we're gonna pull that over to the next live that we do. and then we're gonna challenge y'all. If y'all up for the challenge, let's say let's put a number up in the chat of something that's reasonable, something that the average person can can let go out of their fingers, let go of their fingers, and let's say maybe we can do maybe donate to 2 people or 3 people. Y'all tell me. This is just a thought. That's a YouTube, not the host. Yeah. So y'all tell me how y'all want to do it. We could all donate a little something in the super chats, take off what YouTube is going to get out of it, and then we could split that up amongst, let's say, 2 people, 3 people, 1 person, however y'all want to do it. You know, um, let's see. BL4N BL4N says, "Y'all, I'm gone. May everyone's garden be forever lush and with life." Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you for coming in. And, thanks to Marcia6308. OCGS Chick says, "Thanks for the support, Marcia." How Gal says, "Thanks, Marcia." Mike's Chaotic Garden, thanks, Marcia. And again, that's just what I want to do. You know, it just makes sense to me, and it just feels right. Because like I said, and on the garlic, right? I'm switching subject really quick. The garlic has been, I mean, oh my goodness, I can't keep up. I still have garlic. I had to really turn the listing off because it was moving so fast that I couldn't get them out fast enough. So I'm shipping out probably about maybe 20 pounds a day. So if you ordered garlic from me and you haven't gotten it yet, it's on the way. And yes, the listing says sold out, but I still have garlic. Okay. Marcia, thank you. Thank you once again. Look at that. What is that? I'm trying to pronounce that name. I'm going to just say Simpson. I know what Simpson is. Fiona. Is that right? Give me a thumbs up if I got that right. Fiona Simpson, 2554. Fiona Simpson. So y'all tab this up now because I want you to hold me to this. Tab this up. Tab up what everybody's putting into the chat right now. Fiona Simpson, thank you. Marcia, thanks you. Halgal, thank you. Let's see who else dropped a little something. I'm going to go back up to chat. Empress Herbal, thank you. No heroes, no victims, thank you. So right now, we got the pot up to 10, we're going to say 15, 20, 25. So we got $25 in the pot right now. So again, it depends on how y'all want to do it. If nobody wants to participate, that's perfectly fine. But if we are if we're going to do this as a community, the same way that we're sharing everything, I would really love for this to be a part of what we do every time I go live. We basically load the thing up and you guys tell me, how you want to split it up. If you want one person to take it all, we'll do some type of lottery. If you want to split it between 2 people, but everybody in the chat has an opportunity to get a piece of it. So I am very, very thankful for that. Yeah, the garlic is incredible. How Gal? I think I shipped yours as well. Oh, okay. Fiona says she ordered some garlic. So if you have not, I sent out 20 packs today, 20 pounds, because they come up a pound per pack. Mike's Chaotic Gardener says, whatever moves that you live to do. Mike's Chaotic Gardens, his neighbor visit growingoutthebox.com. Um, yeah, the garlic has been amazing this year. I mean, I thought it did well last year, and I did grow more So I was better prepared. Oh man, sketch it. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Sketch it, that's 10 more. So now we up to 35. So let's see here. And some of us can, some of us can afford, if you can do $1, it doesn't matter. But, anything that we can put back in, and we'll put it right back into the community. Let somebody out here really feel the benefits of what we're trying to do over here. And I say we are trying to do over here, because when you come into the chat, we want to just we just want to be doing something just a little different. It's never about me. This is about us, a unit, the community. So, oh, okay. How guy says you got it 2 days ago. See? Yeah. I mean, I've been shipping them out. I've been up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning packing, and I can't remember her name right now. I apologize if I can't remember her name. He says we're at 32. I'm just gonna round it up. I think it's 35. If we round it up, we're gonna say 35. So even the 4.99s, we're gonna put it at a 5. So I think there was a 10, several 5s, and then this last 10. So we'll just say 35. And we will come in, and you guys let me know. Like I said, if you want to email me, inquiry@growingoutthebox.com, and let me know how you guys want to do this. It works for me. So we're gonna start cleaning this mess up that I got out here. And if you guys want to know any more about the fish hydrolysis, pretty much what I just showed you, going all the way to the blender and adding again our our lactic acid bacteria. We'll take half of this and pour that into the fish hydrolysis. Once we get our 4 pounds, we'll do 4 pounds turbinado sugar, 4 pounds of our fish, equal weight, not by sight, equal weight. And then you're going to top that off. So you're going to sprinkle the turbinado sugar over the top to create a seal. You want to create a lock on the top, and that sugar is going to create a blanket, and that's going to seal in any type of bacteria from getting down in there, and it's going to create good anaerobic bacteria when we're doing that cold fermentation. And that's going to be what we're doing with our fish hydrolysate, is what we're making. Far better than any, okay, fresh and fire, thank you. So now we up to $40. I go $40. It's $40. Fresh and fire just added to the pot. Let's see. Whoever's controlling the growing out the box in there, put $10 in there from growing out the box. We're gonna throw $10 in there. So whoever's in there controlling the growing out the box, just add an extra $10 in there. We're gonna throw a little something in there too. Just look to the side of the screen, and you'll see the little money thing over there. Just click on that and then put $10 in it. And that'll be what did that be? 45 $45, I think. Thanks for the support. OCD is saying fresh and fire. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of you guys have been rocking with me for a minute, man. And we're about to hit 300,000 on YouTube. 300,000. That's a major milestone. 300,000 right here on YouTube, and we're gonna celebrate this thing in a major kind of way. So, oh man, there you go, growing out the box. Woo, got the little waving man up there. So, what's the pot up to? Somebody give me a count on what the pot is up to. So we got 89 in here right now. How gal, that's my guy right there. Dropped in 9. So this thing getting on up there now. So, but again, you guys email me and tell me how you want to do this, how we want to break this thing down, and how we want to, we want one person to be this is something that I want you guys to tell me how you're going to do it. This is not about me and how I want to do it. I want the community to be able to tell me how you guys want to do it. So email me, inquiry@growingoutthebox.com. And on that note, if we have no more questions, we're going to get up out of here. And I'm liking the light. Looks like it's pretty decent little lighting right here. So just enjoying this. Thank you, OCD is Chick. Y'all go ahead and shout out. How Gal says we're up to 60. Okay. So that means we got 60 in the pot for next round. And then you guys let me know. Yeah, Mike says the lighting is great. Thanks. So this is going to be how we're going to set it up next time. We got the light on the Chase Lounge that's lighting up the back of me. And then we got a light on the left side of me coming towards the front. Everybody seems to think that's pretty good. We appreciate you, Pink Hibiscus. We appreciate you as well. She says, thanks. Want to be crafted, Grandmama. That is a nice light. Empress Herbal, growing out the box. I picked up some blueberries today. Where you pick up blueberries from if you ain't get them from me? You picked up blueberries or a blueberry bush? Because you know I sell blueberries. That's Empress Herbal. She's one of my neighbors. So I met her for the first time day before yesterday. Her and her husband, Rico, a beautiful couple. No, okay, so she said she picked hers. Okay. I was about to say, I was about to pick a bone with you. I was like, no, you didn't go out and buy no blueberry bush from somewhere else. Fresh and Fire, thank you for the valuable information. We appreciate you. And that light gonna get me one of those. Harbor Freight. Yeah, Harbor Freight. That's where I got those from. They're powered up. You charge them up. They last pretty good. So I got 4 of them, and looks like what I'm doing right now. All I need is 2. What I was trying to do is come up with that perfect spot for them, so I know where to put them at every time. So now I know where to sit my front light, and now I know where to put the back light. So if that's working for everybody. She says, I'm looking for the lemonade blueberries, the pink lemonade. The pink lemonade is sold out. Yeah, the Misty is sold out. The pink lemonade is sold out. The Titan is sold out. But we have still, out of the 20 varieties that we have in the shop, that's at growingoutthebox.com. Somebody can put the link up there, growingoutthebox.com. You can go over there. We got fruit trees. We got citrus trees. We have blueberries. What else do we have over there? We got raised beds. We have some garden supplies. We're growing this thing. We're about to be a nice little staple in the garden community. Thank you, Nikki. That's the OCDist chick. She shared the link up there. So thank you so much. So Chimney Chimney says, I thoughts of fresh mint tips. Thoughts on fresh mint tips. FPJ uh, live stream tonight. Great live stream. Thank you. Mint tips. I don't know. That'd be interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that. That may be interesting. Maybe having the that scent in there, and the only thing that we have to be careful too when we're doing our FPJs, because we're looking at plants that also have a microbial uh, blocker in there. So some plants like onions, like I can do a ferment with onions, but onions is it actually blocks the same thing that you're trying to create. So we have to be mindful of that. Lots of goodies on the site, Empress Herbal says. Yeah. But I had somebody bought, she actually bought all of the round raised beds that we had. So she cleaned them out today or yesterday, and I shipped them out today. I mean, one person literally just wiped out the whole thing. So apparently she has quite a few blueberries that she was trying to plant up. But we got a lot going on, man. And as I start to put things out in the garden, I'm trying to have everything ready for our 300,000 subscribers. Once we get to that 300,000, hopefully everything will be set up in the garden. The new uh, raised beds, we got the canopies that go with the raised beds. It's whole grow systems. And what we're doing different that I think a lot of people have failed us on is they're selling you the entire package as one and you're not able to break it down. But what we're doing with our packages, you can buy the raised bed by itself, you could buy the netting by itself, you can buy the winter protection by itself, you can buy the frame by itself, or you can buy everything together. So we're going to have it broken down to where you can buy each part, whatever is convenient for you, upgrade as you will, and if any of the parts wear out, you can always come back and purchase just the part as opposed to having to go back and buy the whole thing. So we're trying to marry in the middle, to have that place to where we can serve the community. We can show you how to do a lot of these things on your own because these same raised beds that we're going to be selling in the growingoutthebox.com are the same raised beds that I'm going to show you how to build. So we're playing. There it is right there. You be doing upside down too much. Be doing too much. Yeah. So I'm using 5 netting covers on my blueberries and my peach trees. I'm going to have to do something with my fig trees because the birds are over here just demolishing my figs. I just noticed they were coming in yesterday and the birds are just, I mean, they're tearing them up already. So I'm going to have to come up with some type of netting system for the fig trees. This is my first year really seeing them really hit the way that they're hitting. So we're going to do something on that. So with that being said, thank y'all for coming in. It's been a beautiful Friday. Lighting is just right. We got that now, so we ain't got to worry about the lighting anymore. Uh, Thank you guys for supporting. And y'all remember the pot now. Y'all remember the pot size because we're going to bring that pot back on the next live. And then we're going to see if we can do it. And then you guys come up with how y'all want to distribute those funds. Once you come up with how you want to distribute it, then we'll let somebody have it in the next live. I need to build a cage for my figs. Yeah, my fig tree right now, Mike, is about 14 feet tall. So I don't think a cage is gonna work for it. So I'm gonna have to come up with some netting because I thought I was gonna be able to do me some fig spread, and the birds are just, I mean, they're just tearing it up right now. Yeah. So I got one brown turkey that's 14 feet tall, and then I got another brown turkey that's taken off over here, and it's probably about 6 feet tall. Uh, 4 years old, both of them are the same age, but the one in the back, I fertilized it last year. So for everybody who's saying they just put their fruit trees in the ground and let them do what they do, I'm not mad at you. I fertilized mine. I've been spraying those FPJs on it, and at the beginning of the season, I put some tree tone around the base, around the drip line. 4 years, that thing is 14 feet tall. The fourth year, 14 feet tall, and I mean, just throwing off figs right now. So, I'm not saying that you need to go and fertilize your fruit trees, but I'm saying I do, because I be doing too much. And on that note, peace. Let me see. I'm going to leave out of here before. What is this? Fiona says, "Can you give me some insight on the question regarding blueberries? What question you have about the blueberries? You know, I love to talk about the blueberries. Want to be crafty? Grandmama says, have a great night, everyone. Thanks again, growing out the box. Mike's Chaotic Gardening put up the peace, the deuces. Yeah, Fiona, what is it that you wanted to know about the blueberries? I'm more than happy. Or you can email me your question. I answer my emails, so email my questions. My community, I serve you guys, so if you ask me a question on the emails, it's been pretty hard to do this in social media now because the social media is kind of climbing like it is. But if you are one of the people who communicates with me on the website, growingoutthebox.com, I answer every email over there. OCDS Chick says she wanted to know where's the best varieties for DMV area. Uh, that would DMV would be Maryland, if I'm not mistaken, right, Nikki? DMV, that would be Maryland. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. She says, "Wow, I replanted my brown turkey fig black mission in the same pot. Yeah, I put mine in the ground. Yep. Okay." She says, "Yeah, right. For that area up there, you would definitely need, well, you could go with three different varieties or three different types. So you're going to have your low bush, depending on what your growing environment is. You have your low bush, which will grow up there very good. The low bush are very small berries, but they're super sweet. The low bush. So you can go with any of those. I'm not really learned on the different varieties. There are only so many. I think it may be like maybe 6 or 7 good varieties of the low bush, but I have them in my Growing Out the Box Blueberry Bush Guide. If you want to go over to growingoutthebox.com, Blueberry Bush Guide, it has all different varieties of blueberries. It tells you what companion blueberries to put with it, tells you what grow zones grows best for these particular ones. It'll tell you which, again, the best companions for cross pollination, which is going to give you the largest berries, the sweetest berries, the most disease resistant berries. It has all of these wrapped into the Blueberry Bush Guide. So if you have any questions about blueberries and you just want to go over and sift through it, growingoutthebox.com /blueberry blue dash berry bush guide. You can go over there because it's on the top header over there, but you can find low bush, half highs, and northern high bush will grow good up in the DMV. That's a low bush, half high, or northern high bush. You can pick any of those right there on growingoutthebox.com. Great having a new sub. That's right. And you guys check out some of the people in here, man, because OCDS Chick, she has a very nice garden. And whoever was saying that from the DMV, you can follow Nikki, the OCDS Chick. She has, I mean, beautiful garden up there, and she could probably give you a little better insight on what grows best in that area because every grow zone is going to be slightly different. Mike's Chaotic Gardening is up in Minnesota, so if you want to know about some indoor growing, Mike's Chaotic Gardening would be the man. G Mama Grows, if you want to know about indoor gardening, G Mama Grows will be the one. Mike's Chaotic Gardening and G Mama, they those are the gurus in the community for the indoor growing. Uh, How Gal, just a just a genuinely good person. That's one of my moderators. Let's see who else is in here. Moderator Flojo's just a great supporter. We're talking Cash Flow, great supporter. Empress Herbal, I'm gonna have to make Empress Herbal a moderator. Um, yeah, make Empress Herbal a moderator. So, let's see here. Yeah, there are lots of just people in the garden community. Yardman Garden says, "Greeting, my brother, much blessings," and he gives the praying hands. Yeah, we're finna get out of here right now. We were just answering the last few little questions, and then we're gonna be getting up out of here. Empress Herbal. So yeah, make Empress Herbal a moderator. Let's see if we can turn her blue. And Susan Goggins, God's bless. What's going on? Well, you already in here, or you just popped in? Susan Goggins, she's been following me for a while. Gina versus Gina. She says, "Hey fam, what's going on, Gina? I know Gina, you on your live. We're about to get out of here now. We've been talking about fish hydrolysis and creating our fish hydrolysates in our fermented plant juices. This is one that we just extracted today. This is our Mexican sunflower, the tips, and this is our hormone version of our Mexican sunflower harvest. When we do our lower leaves, that's going to be for our nutrients, and we're going to be doing the nutrients a little later. Okay, Empress Herbal, she is blue. That makes her one of our moderators now. She says, will you have garlic for sale this fall? The garlic has been off the chain, Gina. I still have garlic available. I turned the listing off because I couldn't keep up. So as soon as I catch up, I want to say I had 60, I want to say 60 orders of garlic, 60 orders left of garlic to catch up, and then I'll turn the listing back on because I couldn't keep up. The orders were just coming in so fast I couldn't keep up. So growing out the box is deuces. Boy, I am hungry. So appreciate y'all. Again, keep the tab on the super chats that came in. Y'all email me and let me know how y'all want to distribute the super chat. If y'all want to do one person or two people to split it. Right now, I want to say we're about $60, $70 in the super chat. OCD is chick. Okay, I got you, Nikki. I got you, Nikki. Don't worry about it. I got you. So I'll get that out to you tomorrow. Angela Calloway, did you order garlic this year, Angela? I'm not sure if you ordered garlic this year. So we'll see. But if you do, Angela, just message me. Not yet. Okay. Well, don't order it. Email me, and then I'll send it to you. My moderators get, you know, the moderators. You you done moved over into the other zone now, so I love the support that Angela Calloway is one of my best supporters when it comes to the fruit trees. She's bought fruit trees from me. She's brought blueberry bushes from me. She's bought netting from me. I mean, she is a staunch supporter. And now that she's a moderator, she can come off the other side. And now these things becomes gifts to her just for being a moderator. So a lot of people say that they're going to take care of their moderators. We do that over here. So message me, Angela, on growingoutthebox.com, and I'll get you your garlic out to you. So we're gonna get up out of here. Peace.